I didn't get to go and shoot a video this week because the weather has been absolutely horrible. Living up here in Rhode Island during the winter time, you never know what your weather's going to be, and this week we had a lot of heavy rain again. We had the type of snow that you would just get absolutely soaked if you went out, even though I have rain gear. And also we started having some really cold days. It's 10 degrees out. I woke up this morning. It was only 5 degrees. We got about a 40-mile-an-hour wind happening out there with wind chills below zero, and the news is saying that this is the weather that you can actually get frostbite in about 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing any hiking today, any outdoor activity. It's just way too cold. Even though I probably could bundle up, it's way too windy to do any filming. Anyway, even with a dead cat or wind muff, you're going to get that rumble because the wind is blowing so hard. So we're just going to stay inside. Going to keep it warm today. Show you some of the stuff I'm getting rid of. So like many other YouTubers and outdoors people, I have way too many backpacks. I have that large blue one for overnight, which unfortunately, with it being full frame and the size it is, it's become way too heavy for my back, and I need to think about smaller, lighter gear, which is why I now have that one. So there is a considerable size difference and considerable weight difference. The bigger one has an adjustable frame that, believe it or not, I can actually make taller. But with it being a full frame, it's very heavy, even empty. This one here has a metal frame, but only goes up the metal back, so it's not as rigid, but also allows it to curve and contour better to the shape of my back and allows the weight to be distributed, which will make hiking and such a lot easier. That brown backpack I've had for about 12 years now. It is sun, wind, and waterproof, and I proved the waterproof part with submerging it and having it float around in the ocean. I got caught up in a wave when I was filming some epic waves down in Florida. I actually spent about 20 minutes chasing it around. This backpack is kind of an overnight backpack. It's a camera bag, but it also has a slot for an iPad or a laptop. This backpack, when I'm visiting city areas, I can hide it under a table, keep it close to me when I'm eating and whatever, and don't have to worry about theft so much. The brown one is my current day hiking backpack. It's not padded for a camera, so I got to be careful, but it has large pockets. It's time to part with some of these backpacks because I got way too many. Like I said, that doesn't include the luggage and other bags that I've got stored in a hallway area, which, well, with COVID, who knows when we're going to be able to travel again. I'm going to go ahead and sell the larger backpack, which is just a way too big, way too heavy. That pack has gotten way too small for my use. Served me great over the last 12 years when I only had my DSLR, one lens, and a tripod. Maybe I should rethink that and go back to that simple shooting, just one lens, one camera, one tripod, don't have to think about what gear to take. Overnight and city bag, I'm kind of on the fence about because those could become useful if I do go to other areas. So in this bag that I pulled out of the closet is leftover extension cords from when I had my on-location portrait and event photography and video business, which I no longer do. I thought about doing the van life thing. Realistically, van life's not probably going to happen. Although at some point I would love to get a vehicle which I could just sleep in the back for a couple overnight trips or to do some week-long exploring. But as far as living full-time or several months in a van or a vehicle, my wife wants no part of that. I'm really not going to need 110 power that much. A lot of the stuff, if I think back to when I was camping, when I was a kid or early 20s with my dad, pretty much all I needed was a tent, sleeping bag, some sort of cushion for the ground. Back then it was an air mattress, some way to cook, which was either stove, charcoal, or open fire, plus a cooler and some sort of light. Back then it was the propane gas lanterns. And really, other than my fishing pole and tackle box, that was pretty much it. Oh, and I had a rowboat at the time. That was pretty much it. It was simple. Why have all this gear? Like I said, I thought about and was planning the van life thing, but even then, why have all this cooking gear, all these flashlights, all these lights, extension cords, multiple plugs, you know, especially with stuff going pretty much USB power. You really don't require all that 110, and you can have your battery packs and solar and stuff like that if you really want to do glamping, which having a lot of gear instead of rustic camping. So yeah, it looks like I'm going to go ahead and downsize some of that as well. May only keep one 4-way and one extension cord in case I at an area that has power and I need to charge something. But as far as having 2 or 3 of them, yeah, don't need that. Those were from the days I had my business, and that's no longer needed. Okay, so let's talk about tripods and monopods. I've already downsized a bunch of my tripods. I've got 2 monopods in there. One's a Manfrotto and the other one's a Sarai, which has different sections to make it either a tabletop, down low, full size, or whatever, plus swivel. Also, I got my Sunpack Tripod, which is carbon fiber, as opposed to these 2 monopods being aluminum. That carbon fiber one is about 12-year-olds now and has been the rock of my photography and video. Monopods were great when I was doing portraits and events, but they're not so good with hiking and outdoors. I need something that's a little bit more stable, so probably going to be selling my monopods. They haven't gotten used in a while. This Sarai one I think I only used once. Now when it comes to tripods, I am done with ball heads. First of all, the problem with the ball head is you only got this one knob right here which loosens up everything. If you need to pan, you know, this becomes loose. After a while, the bowl will get full of salt, full of dirt and everything, and they become stuck, hard to clean. Take it apart, you may not be able to get it back together. Also, the way this one knob grips everything, sometimes they will wear out and this knob will not actually tighten this anymore. I've probably gone through about 6 of these in 11 years. And the problem is the center post right here tends to loosen up and you can't tighten it. So your camera will actually flop over with the weight on it. Thomas Heaton actually had talked about his Acuratech Aqua Swiss tripod head. This thing here is going to be great, as I can pan, I can position it in any position. It was finally in stock here in the US where I could buy it. It had been on back order for months, but I was finally able to get my hands on one. Now I'm looking forward to using this. The great thing with it being the Aqua Swiss type of mount instead of a 3/4 with a plate, and I don't know why it's not focusing, probably too close, but instead of a 3/4 with a plate, is the fact that now I can switch over to a proper L bracket. And you can also not see it because I'm actually filming on my ZV-1 right now. But attached to my ZV-1 is the quick release plate for my Zhiyun, however you pronounce it, Weeble S. That's also Aqua Swiss. So that actually will mount perfectly on this head. So I can quickly switch from my gimbal to a tripod with no problem. And then this will either go on my DSLR or if I upgrade to a mirrorless camera sometime pretty soon. So again, that cuts down also the amount of gear that I have and also provides for proper camera support, quick switching between landscape and portrait modes, especially for my landscape photos. Alrighty, so let's talk about some more useless gear that I have bought over time. This right here is one of those coolers that actually have a radio built into it. At one time I thought it would be cool to take this thing, have a few drinks in here, kick back while I'm fishing, and listen to the radio. Truthfully, I never used it. What happened was it became just another thing to carry around, and also when I go fishing I find myself getting more immersed into the nature and my surroundings, and also I do not sit in one spot that often. If the fish aren't biting, I'm moving on. So, you know, sitting back, fishing, listen to the radio, you know, might be good if I was in my 60s or 70s, had nothing better to do and wanted to spend the whole time, or if I was still down in Florida, saltwater fishing in the causeway, where we have picnic tables and grills to grill out, fine. But up here in New England, basically all you got is your boat launches or you got a rocky shoreline. I don't even know if they even make these anymore. I haven't even seen them in the store, so I can't tell you how old actually this one is. Time to get rid of it. Don't use it. Okay, so when it comes to packing for my road trips and my outdoor adventures, I love using bags over bins or plastic containers, and the reason why is because the plastic bins tend to get unorganized, and also they're very bulky. These are just a couple of my bags. I have this bag here, which has a lot of my cooking utensils in it, my cooking pots and stoves. I'm probably going to make a video on some of that gear that I use. This bag right here has my various digging tools, saws, machetes, stuff I need to chop firewood. Also inside I have my ropes and recovery gear, although I drive a sedan, so hopefully I'll never go any place I need it, but in case I get another vehicle. Also got various paracords for tying up tarps or any other essentials that I might need, you know, if I need to tie up and drag something. But I want to show you one of the drawbacks as far as using bins that is really a problem. See, with a bag, you can find pretty much anywhere to store a bag in your vehicle, in your trunk, you know, stuff it in a corner, stuff it behind the seat, stuff it up in your passenger area in the cab of your vehicle or whatever. But with a bin, this is what happens. For my storage right now during my off season, this is a problem. I've seen other overlanders and YouTubers, they have serious amounts of bins that they have in their vans and their Jeeps or whatever. First of all, you can see they are very bulky. They are square. You can't just, you know, stuff an item somewhere. You got to find a place to actually store this. Then is it open when you're stopped somewhere? People can see that you have bins, break into your vehicle or whatever. Very bulky, takes up a lot of room. As you can see by this top one that I need to organize. Yeah, this is what happens with bins. Everything is in it. It would be really frustrating to try to use this right now if I needed to find a cooking utensil or my sleeping pillow, any of my fire starters, any of my lights or whatever. So I will be cleaning these out and switching them over to nice bags that I can actually have everything organized, everything separated, easy to find, easy to use. Because this right here, this is what happens when a lot of people travel and it just becomes a frustration. Okay, so remember the beginning of this video, I told you when I was younger, I used to go camping, especially when my dad was still alive and we used to meet up, that basically all I needed was one light, one way to cook, a cooler full of food, sleeping bag, tent, and my fishing supplies. Pretty much that's it. I just emptied that one overflowing bin of all the outdoor stuff that I've accumulated. This is way overkill. I was told that, you know, when I gear up for something, I go way too far. This is just the first bin. I mean, look at all this stuff. You got lighting, of course my pillow, a Hibachi Grill for charcoal, solar controllers, which I'm still experimenting with solar, CB radio, which nobody really uses CBs these days, various various gloves, campfire toppers, grill tops, fire starters, bucket. Yeah, just way too much. One of the things I'm going to get rid of first is any type of lighting that has a crank on them. They are just not what they seem to be. The problem with those is you've got to do a lot of cranking, probably for about 15-20 minutes or more before they even hold any power for any length of time. And then once you turn them on, the batteries that are internal on them, which are non-replaceable, discharge very quickly. So you got to keep on cranking. Probably good for emergency use, but they just don't last. And the older those lights get, the less and less time that the batteries actually hold use. So they're not worth it. Nowadays we have technology where the internal batteries are lithium batteries that last forever. They're quick charge, USB charging. You can charge them up in your car. You can charge them solar. And they just last a long time. Matter of fact, I've got some lights that are LED lights. Those LEDs are the early LEDs, which don't give off that brightness. I've got some now, which are the newer LEDs that are super bright. And truthfully, some of my LED studio lights that I've run off the battery, I have not plugged in or charged those probably in about 3-4 years, and they still hold the charge. Use them for an hour or two, shut them off. I've never charged them. So crank lights, yeah, they were a fad for a while, probably great for an emergency, but as far as regular use, they're just not worth it. I mean, you have to sit there cranking, and then they just don't hold a charge. So yeah, those are going to be the first to go out of my kit. One of the second things that's going to be going is going to be this cheese and vegetable grater. Reason being is you can see what it looks like over time. Pretty much getting dirty, can't really clean it anymore. There's no bag or anything for this, so the way you store it, you know, you reach in, you can scrape your knuckles in that. Found a much better solution. I picked this up at a thrift store, so you can see I only paid probably about $2 for it. It was brand new, still in the box. It's a grater box. Basically does the same thing. If you show the back of it here, it has a box that stores all your individual pieces, so your slicer, your grater. This one even comes with an egg separator. You don't have to have a separate plate to grate everything into and pieces go flying all over the place. Everything goes right in the little storage container, easier to hold, has a built-in handle and everything, so much smaller to store. Also, a lot safer to store. I'm not going to be scraping my knuckles on anything sharp when I reach into a bag. Okay, so hopefully this camera angle is going to work out because I've got a lot of stuff spread out, but I want to talk about cooking. Alright, let's start with the obvious, charcoal. A lot of people like charcoal cooking, and truthfully, I'm pretty much the same way. I love the taste of food on an open fire or charcoal being grilled. But this is a Hibachi Grill, and I remember when I was younger, these things used to be made out of cast iron. They were sturdy. This here one is actually cheap aluminum. It's brand new, it's never been used, but as you can see, it's already bent up from just being in the box before it was even assembled. It's very flimsy. I'm going to try to show you this. Yeah, the grills don't even stay. So you can imagine if I have food on here. Yeah, nothing more I can say about that. Problem with this one here is it's actually aluminum, so it bends up easily. The grills don't stay. Charcoal takes a long time to heat up. Then, you know, what do you do with it afterwards? Because it's peak temperature, you're already done cooking, already done eating. The disposal of it, people talk about the carcinogens from charcoal and the lighter fluid. Charcoal and lighter fluid is expensive. It's more poundage to haul around. Problem with this hibachi also is the fact is once it's set up, you know, it's a pain to try to assemble and disassemble, so you never want to do that. And the reason being is, as you can see, it's made with these little tiny screws and bolts. So trying to assemble it, unassemble it is just not worth it. So the Hibachi is going to be going. It's bulky. I've got a feeling it would not last that long. You've got these little portable tabletop grills. They have 3 or 4 legs. This one here is kind of bent up and scratched up, even though I never use it. Again, it's not the best for long-term use because they do rust out quickly. As you can see, the grill is kind of flimsy. Kind of great for tailgating. They break down quickly. They cool off quickly once you dump your charcoal out of it. Probably going to go ahead and get rid of this one also. Let's talk about grill toppers for open fire cooking. This right here is probably the best. Cast iron. Properly take care of it. It's really not going to rust on you. It's going to pretty much last forever. Small, compact, we're going to save that. These are just regular grill tops. The one thing I don't like about these, and I don't know if this is going to really show it, is this right here, the space in between it. Good for steaks, but your hot dogs and sausages, once they start shriveling up, will fall through it. If you're going to put bacon on it, it'll fall through it. Your fish is going to fall through it. Your little chicken drumettes are going to fall through it. Vegetables are going to fall through it. So these are not the greatest. So that's going to be going. Same thing with this one. It's the same size. This was a replacement for a grill. I paid $2 for it. I'm going to keep this one because the slats in between are very narrow. Plus I can adjust it to different sizes. The only drawback with these cheaper ones is they are actually made out of aluminum a lot of times, which cooking for aluminum can cause carcinogens and not be that great. Some of them don't even tell you whether or not they're made out of steel. You really want to look for the steel ones. But I'm going to go ahead, keep this one, and get rid of the other two. Then you got this style here that folds up over your fire. The only problem is these can be a little bit rocky. So you got to be careful using pans. And yeah, as you can see with that. This right here would be great for your vegetables, shrimp, or whatever. It's a non-stick grilling top. It doesn't say anything about using it over an open fire. I'm assuming that you can. But this is non-stick coated, so if it does start to scratch up and peel, you got to worry about carcinogens also and not using it. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. These sticks for hot dogs, sausage, or also marshmallows. I got a couple of these because I thought I was going to be car camping with my wife, but she's not interested in that. I have some that actually retract back down and will fit in my backpack, so I'm going to think about these and whether or not I'm going to use them. Sandwich and pie makers. I've seen several YouTubers use these. Problem with these is you put them directly in the fire and they do get hot. As you can see here, this one doesn't lock too well, so you know it's going to open up on you. Also, the other thing is your sandwiches will burn very easily using these. I've actually got 2 of these. I didn't pay that much for them. This one here locks a little bit better, but same concept. Probably don't need 2 of them because I can make sandwiches if I want to heat them up on a cast iron or other type of pan. So we'll see about those. Fish cookers and chicken cookers. These are pretty great. As long as you have a skinny fish. You know, there's not much room in between there. Probably easier just to go ahead and cook it in a pan. As you can see by this one, I don't know if this will show it, they rust very easily. So after like the first 1 or 2 times use, it will start rusting on you. These are made more out of aluminum than steel, so they're really not that great. This one here is probably a better quality, but again, you know, you better hope your fish fillets are very thin and you don't have a big fish you're trying to cook up. So I'm probably going to get rid of those also. Cast iron pan. Cannot go wrong with it if you take care of it properly. There are several videos out there that if it slightly starts to rust like that, how to restore them. If your pan is not too far gone, you never can go wrong with a cast iron pan. So that's cooking. Other types of cook methods, you've got your iso fuels, which are little tiny camp stoves. I'll be talking more about those in the future. These are 2-hour methanol gels that you would find if you were to go to like a wedding and they have a buffet to keep the food warm. Not sure, so sure it'd be great for cooking on, but I got these for free. Same thing with this one to melt down chocolates or whatever. The only problem with these is once you light them, you pretty much have to let them burn totally out. Otherwise, trying to put the cap back on it and extinguish it and whether it'll relight in the future may not be good. So once I use these up, since I got them for free, I probably will not replace them. We'll get more into cooking as I do camping and cooking videos, but I just want to show you pretty much what's useful, what's not useful. Personally, I would say the best thing to do when you're cooking is, as long as it's not a burn regulation on during a drought or an area that don't allow open fires, open fire in a fire pit is probably your best bet if you want taste. And then for quickness, reduce risk of any forest fires, I would say propane or iso fuel. The only thing about iso fuel, which is a propane mixture, if it gets cold out, these do not work so well. Even with your older propane ones, if it gets down below 20 degrees, they don't work so well. So open fire is usually the best, but again, you know, there's a risk of forest fires. Charcoal is bulky. You gotta have the lighter fluid. There's carcinogens on those. Takes a long time to heat up. Takes a long time to cool down. Charcoal is kind of getting out of the wayside. A lot of people don't cook with charcoal anymore, especially, you know, if you're going to be in an area where you just want to get up, have your coffee, or if you're just going to stop somewhere real quick, you know, you're better off going with a propane, even though these are pretty cheap. The small one was probably about $5. The regular propane ones for your propane stoves are, I think you pay like between $5 and $10 for one, and these tend to last a long time. I probably got about 4 uses out of this, and still sounds like it's at least halfway full. If you're going to be somewhere car camping and you're doing propane, you can also get a regular propane tank and get one of those hoses that will convert from using these style to a regular propane tank and hook that up to your stoves. So yeah, we're going to be downsizing a lot of this cookware that I just don't use. Alright, so I just emptied out bin number 2. Most of this stuff I will probably end up keeping. Got a compression sack, which is great for dirty or wet clothing. Got my first aid. Again, I've got my fuel bottles. Got a couple lanterns. The zip clip for clamping to the side of the table and put your water bottle in. Kind of useless. Don't know why I have it. May end up getting rid of it. The fan actually runs off of 12-volt battery, cigarette lighter, or auxiliary port plug-in, which is really great. Also got a bow saw with all blades for processing wood. These little cubes right here that zip up are totally great for organization. They were $10 for a pack of 4 different sizes. I've got, as you can see in here, I've got all my flashlights and other lights, my headlights. This one here has my inverters that I can plug into my cigarette lighter on my car. Also has a couple of USB charging off a cigarette lighter. Great for organization. So I don't think there's too much in here. Here's another packet with my inverters in it. So I don't think there's too much in this bin that I'm actually going to get rid of. I'm probably just going to go ahead and condense it down a little more. I've got to figure out these lanterns here. Because one of the things about lanterns, flashlights, and all that is all the batteries that they take, disposable ones, they're actually bad for the environment. A lot of bad chemicals in there. They don't really break down. You got to deal with the carbon and all that. Plus, not only that, batteries are expensive. You're going to pay $10 for maybe a 4-pack of battery these days, and they all take different sizes. So I've got AA's, I've got AAA's, and I got D size. I don't think I have anything that has C or 9 volt. But yeah, that's a problem, especially when you can get stuff now that's all USB chargeable. You don't have to worry about batteries, buying disposable, and you just charge them up off your car, off solar, or even plug into your regular standard house outlet. And I've actually found I have one light that I probably used for an hour or two a day when I had a different YouTube channel doing crafts. And I had not charged that thing in 3 years, and it still lights up and does not need charging. It's still at about 90%. But that's the other thing. These lithium batteries that you can store have great shelf life. They don't go down on you, although my GoPro batteries do for some reason, not sure why. But when you buy disposable batteries and they say they have a 10-year shelf life, that is not true. I bought some when I was living down in Florida. I bought a whole bunch of them because down in Florida we have hurricanes and you can deal with having weeks without power. So I wanted to make sure I would stock up on them. I had those batteries for 2 years, and literally I plug them into the clock that's up above me right there, and as you can see, it's not running again. Within about a week or 2 weeks, those batteries are dead on just a regular wall clock. So to say that they have 10-year shelf life is not true. So yeah, get stuff that's USB rechargeable, because there's many different ways you can recharge it. Low voltage, better for the environment. Okay, so obviously I didn't take you through all the gear. That is just some of it. And there's still a lot more gear I need to go through. I got a whole closet full of outdoor gear that probably just turns out to be a waste of money also, because of the quality of it and the fact that you really just don't need it. And also, one of my future videos is going to be on some of the cook gear that I actually do use, show you how to use it. I'm just waiting for the weather to warm up a bit. It's still only 9 degrees this morning, and we have another snowstorm coming with another 8 to 14 inches, and then some more bitterly cold. Like I said, this time of year my outdoor videos tend to slow down, mostly because of the weather. Or hopefully the weather will start changing soon now that we're getting into February. Hopefully we'll start having some more spring-like weather in the next few weeks, but we'll see you in the next video.